the head of French police, Didier Lallement, who has offered his sincere regrets for the trouble and the admitted failure before the Champions League final outside the Stade de France, the final, of course, between Liverpool and Real Madrid. And, of course, we saw some dreadful scenes out of there, some Liverpool fans in something of a crush at gates, of course, tear gas being used. Liverpool fans, middle-aged, some elderly, some very young, some kids. So what is this man Lallement saying this morning? I'm looking at this with you, Simon. I'm with you. This ain't any apology, really. No. He says it was obviously a failure because people were pushed around or attacked, even though we owed them security. Right, we've got that, Monsieur Lallement. You owed them security. He blamed the trouble on thousands of fake tickets. And then he says this, it's an apology of sorts, but then he tries to justify it. He said that using tear gas outside the stadium was the only means they had to get the crowd to move back without charging at them. He says, I think that would have been a mistake to charge at people. Well, he's not wrong there.
This is not an apology. You can't even call it a qualified apology. What this is when you've got innocent people and young children and elderly people that have been tear gassed, you've got to say that the outcome is something you regret, which is what he says.
Right.
But he defends the reasons behind it. So this is not an apology. This is a qualified explanation expressing regret about some of the outcomes.
Yeah.
But he is laying the pipework down for the reasons why they had to behave this way. So this is not an apology, Jim.
That's right. Simon, let's bring in French journalist with L'Equipe in Paris, Eric Bidelman. Eric, good morning to you. This doesn't seem much of an apology to us. What do you think?
No, I do agree to what you just have said. I was listening carefully. Behind that, what I would suggest in the words of Didier Lallement is that he's just covering up the police minister, Gérald Darmanin. He doesn't apologize. He says that he used a tactic for keeping the order and that was the wrong tactic. Then he said that he was the man who said that there was about 30 to 40,000 mainly Liverpool fans coming without ticket to the ground, and now says that it's a number that he didn't really check, and it was just a number which came from I don't know, from the moon or from Mars, I don't know where. And this is just an obvious way for him to say, I did the job and I did it wrong. I got numbers and I got it wrong. And behind that, the police minister, Gérald Darmanin, have been on the front line, but I am the guilty man. So be ready to cut my head in the following days or weeks, because that's what should happen to save the minister.
Well, Eric, I mean, he's saying his force was not prepared for the scale of the problem. I think he's referring to fake tickets ahead of the final between Liverpool and Real Madrid. Well, you know, if they were not prepared, he's responsible. He's the head of the police. Should he not? I mean, will you be asking this guy Lallement if he's going to consider his own position?
Of course, he's under threat now about his own position, because according to the information that the French police was treating, they were fearing about hooliganism. They were thinking, by fake and lack of information, that Liverpool fan is like if it was in the time of the Eisel. They were thinking like it was the very ugly bad time of supportism. And the police which came to the Stade de France, they are anti-hooliganism and order police. So they were not formed and they were not able to deal properly with crowd behavior, with football crowd behavior, with unfortunately also with thugs, because one of the main points which have not been really discussed during this talk this morning is about the freedom given to the thugs, because after the game, most of the police went inside the stadium to prohibit the fans eventually to invade the stadium. But the problem was outside. The problem was with the hundreds, if not thousands, of thugs who were willing to attack the Spaniard and the English fans, and all that have been kept to silence. So we are
Yeah.
far from.
So at the end of the game, Eric, what you're saying is that the police messed up again because they went inside the stadium when they should have been outside, stopping the French thugs attacking Liverpool and Spanish people. Simon.
Eric, is there a perception in France that UEFA, if we're talking about a lack of information and a lack of intelligence around how many fake tickets that may have been presented, is there a feeling in France that UEFA are culpable for this as well? Because the police will take their lead from the requirements of the people that are putting the game on, which is UEFA. Surely the intelligence that was provided is also something that needs to be really looked at, rather than the police just taking all of the blame for it.
Of course, we have to keep an eye on what UEFA as the organizer and the French Football Association as also the organizer have some responsibility. But behind that, the number of allegedly fake tickets is really something to discuss, because the official number which have been given, the latest one, is around 2,500 or 2,800. But hundreds of real tickets, when you were passing through the automatic gate, were ringing like fake tickets. The electronic system was really under jeopardy, because it seems that when you have a fake ticket, then the time to release it and to reshape it, you could have 3 real tickets, and these tickets were numbered as fake tickets. So of course they're there, but I don't think that the clue of all the events belongs to the fake ticket policy.
Understood. Eric, thank you very much indeed. I know you've got a lot to do with your own newspaper, L'Equipe. We'll leave you to that. Eric Biederman joining us live. But it's an apology of sorts, Simon. But then he's like, yeah, but we did what we did and we're trying to justify it as well.
But it's amazing. He's just turned around and said that if a fake ticket is presented to the entrance system at the Stade de France, it takes an element of time to reboot itself to be able to recognise a legitimate ticket. How can you have a stadium that it brings in 80,000 people on regular events and then falls over from the tech side of things when a fake ticket is presented, rather than just going fake next? It didn't. It took an X amount of time.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.